Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am not going to let this moment pass, and I'm sure no colleague would wish me to, without reminding everyone present again that this week marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, 7th of July 2005, in which 52 people were killed in 4 separate attacks, and 700 more were injured, many of them grievously. I know the whole House will want to join me in mourning the victims of these dreadful crimes and in sending all our best wishes to their families and loved ones. While we're on the subject of anniversaries, the House will need no reminding that 2025 is 760 years since Simon de Montfort convened the first representative parliament, and perhaps even more significantly that this year marks 800 years since the year 1225, when the charter we now know as Magna Carta was agreed as a statute, and indeed became the first of all our statutes. To that extent, it is 1225, Mr. Speaker, and not 1215 that should be recognised as the birth date of Magna Carta. Very pleased to hear that. Wide array of support from the House. Thank you. Important point I thought to put on the record. For this government, of course, the past week marks an anniversary of a somewhat less glorious and happy kind, its first full year in office. So as a House, it falls to us to ask, first of all, how has the government done? It would be right to focus, in the first place, on its shockingly negligent and abusive treatment of our Northern Ireland veterans. But that is the topic of a Westminster Hall debate next Monday. So let us focus on wider issues. Labour pledged to deliver the highest economic growth in the G7. In reality, UK growth has failed even to beat the G7 average. It promised to meet NHS waiting list targets for 92% of patients, but the current figure stands at 59.8%, just 1 percentage point better than a year ago. It vowed to smash the boats and the boat gangs, yet small boat migrant numbers are up almost 50% compared to this time last year. So, well, perhaps we can forget the pledges. How then is the UK economy actually doing? Well, we know that the OBR has cut its growth forecast to just 1%. Inflation is higher than a year ago. Unemployment stands at its highest for 4 years. And so diminished is the government standing in international markets that, as the Institute for Fiscal Studies recently pointed out, the UK now faces higher borrowing costs than almost all other comparable countries, 2 full percentage points higher than Germany and higher even than Greece and Italy. I'm afraid to say the government has stored up more pain to come. The junior doctors have now voted in favour of further strikes through the autumn and into the new year. They had a 22% increase last year, the House will recall, and are now looking to their Labour brothers and sisters for a scarcely believable further 29%. And that's before you include their pensions. As the wildly overrated Anniversaries Bevan said he had done in 1948, the present Secretary of State, and I'm quoting Bevan's words in relation to the GPs in 1948, that he had stuffed their mouths with gold, and they are already coming back for more. And what's the media reaction been to all this, Mr. Speaker? Well, internationally, The Economist described the Prime Minister's first year as wasted. Time called it a catalogue of errors. The normally sympathetic New York Times commented that Britain's Prime Minister is fading away before our eyes. Even supportive British newspapers have not been able to disguise their dismay. The Financial Times has bewailed Labour's drift, The Guardian its lack of vision. Not my words, Mr. Speaker, but those of some of the most respected newspapers in the world. But finally, we can ask, what do the poor, suffering public make of all this? We know what a laser focus 10 Downing Street keeps on the polls. It will not have escaped their notice that the Prime Minister's approval rating is now at minus 35%. No government in recent times has ever lost public support after an election faster than this one. How mortified the Prime Minister must be to be wrenched back almost weekly from the perfumed chancelleries of Europe to the grimmer realities of domestic politics. Mr. Speaker, we need not dwell on the pieties and pomposities of Labour's pronouncements about stability and trust before the July 2024 election. These are the facts. They speak for themselves, and they say only this: must do better, a lot better.
Well done.
Leader.